Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. This video is going to be an eyeshadow palette review. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Today's video is going to be an eyeshadow palette review. I come on here once a month and share with you all of the thoughts about the last eyeshadow palettes that I tried. I tend to group them off into like categories of like 5 to 10 eyeshadow palettes usually, and then I show you all the looks and swatches and like close-ups in a video like this at the end of the month after trying these out. Now, I didn't quite manage to try out all of the new palettes that I had set out to try out this month because there were quite a few and I didn't get to wear my makeup as often as I'd liked because I was a little bit busy in May and I wasn't always feeling like doing my makeup. I was super excited at the start of the month to like try lots of new things, and then my energy was like down here, which is why I wasn't posting all the time. But this is still my May review, even though this is going to go up on June 1st. And let me just tell you which palette I will not be featuring today, which is the Nomad Verona palette. This is going to be moved into next month's palette review video. So in case you were wondering, I want to see all the looks with this one, then I'm gonna tell you right here that I haven't gotten to try it yet. I'm just going to try it out next month. But before we get to the review, I would like to point out that I have fair skin that has a cool to neutral undertone. And this really goes into the kind of makeup I like and all of the thoughts I have about it. I have gathered all of my thoughts on a lot of makeup I've tried in a blog that I've been keeping going for more than a decade, and also this YouTube channel. So if you're ever curious to see swatches or looks with products that I'm featuring on here, all you need to do is have a bit of a Google search or go to the description box down below and click on some of the links up there, because I do regular reviews with almost everything I buy and try. And this channel is mainly about eyeshadow palettes, accessories, and getting the use out of your makeup. So if you're here for that and you would like to join the Snow Angel family, then all you need to do is click subscribe down below. Let's get to the review. So what will I be featuring if the Nomad is not going to be featured? The Kiko Joyful Holiday Limited Edition, this little Zodiac quad from Makeup Revolution, this very stunning Sydney Grace Sweet Indulgence palette, the Shroud Cosmetics Moonfall, the Fantasy Cosmetica Rogue palette, the e.l.f. Cosmetics Celestial Winter, and the thing I'm wearing on my eyes today, the Gemini 2 from Melt Cosmetics. Now, the reason why there are so many things here is because none of these palettes really made a nice grouping in any other way. And some of these I had for quite some time already, but I featured them in videos and I still wanted to do at least one more look with them to really get a feel for it and not just have it be a first impression. And that really went for this little Kiko number. It looks like a Christmas ornament because it was part of a Christmas collection, people. The Joyful Holiday collection was a limited edition collection that Kiko did in December for the holiday season. And one of the things they did in that collection was this little quad with the greens. And that's, of course, why I wanted to try it. This is the Joyful Holiday Bright Dream Eyeshadow Palette in 03 Green as Hope. I bought this for a full face of Kiko that I did in December, I think, and I did a look with it then, and I liked it, and I wanted to go back to it. Kiko does good eyeshadow, but I feel their strength lies more so with singles and eyeshadow sticks, but not so much with their palettes. And people keep asking me to try out Kiko palettes, but their color stories are just never quite it for me, which is why I just wanted to give this another whirl. It's pretty, it's nice. Will I be reaching for this a lot? No, but I like to have some Kiko eyeshadow palettes on hand, just so I can tell you about them and show them in videos. And this is the thing that when I decluttered my makeup collection in March, I kept this over some other Kiko things I used to have because I thought this was just an updated version and a bit better for me personally. Same went for the e.l.f. Celestial Winter palette. I did a full face of e.l.f. in February, played with this palette, and was super impressed. So I knew I would have to put it in a video like this to tell you about it after trying nearly all of the shades. I think there may just, no, I used all of them. Maybe I just didn't use the white one by now, but I did a look with like these very neutrally things and just to see if I could pull like a true neutral look. I also did something with like the blues already in the first impression video, but I do know that I hadn't really quite played with this part of the palette in that video. I did use this shade in the video as well. So I now, I think, have 3 looks that I've done with it. I'll make sure to link you to that Kiko trial video, to the e.l.f. full face of e.l.f. as well as another full face that I have another palette for that I bought for that purpose. But yeah, this is a stunning little palette. Nobody talked about this. I found this through Reddit because I was doing some research of like good e.l.f. products to try, and I love my e.l.f. Earth and Ocean. But that's a bit of an older palette and I didn't want to be like repeating too much. And I had seen this on the website, but I didn't even know this existed. It was apparently limited edition for winter 2022. And I spotted it on Reddit. It seemed to have decent swatches. And I was like, for my full face of e.l.f., I'm going to play around with this. And now I ended up loving it. It's a really nice, cooler toned palette with a lot of pastel pops of colors and some duochromes. I love it. The other product I bought for a full face makeup look is this little Zodiac guy from Makeup Revolution. The Revolution makeup brand is another one that I hadn't tried for some time. It had been like 2 years since I really gave them a whirl. So in March, I decided to do a full face makeup look with nothing but Makeup Revolution, trying out some new things. Some of them were okay. Some of them I liked. And this is one of the ones where I'm like, not worth the money. This is not worth the money, you guys. I think that in the video, I only played with that matte shade and none of the shimmers. So for today's video, I did do 2 looks with this to try out all of the different shades it has to offer. Unfortunately for this palette, the shimmers are just incredibly weak. These aren't really nice in terms of texture. My brush struggled to pick it up. You really have to go in with a finger to intensify the shimmers. And nothing in here really exceeds the level of a satin. Even a shade like this that looks like a really stunning taupe shimmer, which I thought it was going to be, but it ended up just being a little bit sheer and a little bit of a disappointment. The only shimmer that really works in this is this beigey thing, but we have a million of those in our makeup collections by now. So this palette looks really super fun, cool toned and exciting with a pop of like tealy greens. I was really down with it, but unfortunately in the execution, I felt that the way it came together, it was okay. Like if you were to buy this, it's not something like you would think, oh, I need to throw this away instantly. And I'm of course a little bit spoiled for choice, but I know that at this price point, you can do much better eyeshadow. e.l.f., case in point, the Catrice 5 in a box, case in point. Even I think even the Essence Travel series that they do is better quality than this. So depending on where you live, depending on what you can get your hands on, and depending on your budget, I think you have other options that you don't need to necessarily go for this one. And then we just had some fun indie bits. What do I want to talk about first? The palette that surprised me quite a bit is the Fantasy Cosmetica Rogue palette. So I have tried the Druid palette by them. I think I got that last year. And when they announced this, I was like, yep, I need to try it. It's got green, blues, and purples. I love green, blues, and purples in terms of colors. They're my favorite colors to wear on myself. And when I got it in, I was a little bit disappointed because like the black just really throws me off in this palette. It's a good black. If you like your matte blacks, you're gonna love it. But in the end, as grungy and dark as this looks, I didn't feel it was that grungy looking. And that's mainly due to the shimmers, which have a really nice iridescent sparkle to them almost. They are all duochromes or multichromes. They pair really well with the mattes. I felt that went really well. I just thought that the mattes didn't really match together very well. So the teal doesn't really seem to go with any other matte in here. These 2 greens I thought I could pull in together, but this is far more gray tone than this is. So for me, it was really in the undertones of the mattes that I felt that this palette was lacking. But the shimmers make the palette. It's a really stunning formula. You can just put on a sheer layer if you just dab on a little bit, but you can really build it up and intensify it, unlike the Makeup Revolution ones, and it just really, really goes on opaque. The shimmers go with these matches perfectly. Like you can do a purpley look with these three. You can very easily do like a greeny teal look. This is really stunning either with the teal or with the purple. Like there's a lot of mixing and matching you can do with this as long as you pull in at least one shimmer. But for a full-on matte look, I don't think it quite works. Plus the black is too stark of a difference with the way these eyeshadows at least pulled on me with my fair skin. On my fair skin, these sheared out and turned out a lot lighter than from what I got in a full-on finger swatch. So for fair skin people, that's actually good news because this looks like quite an intense palette. And like it's not going to work for like the spring summer season. I'm not really into that kind of vibe. Like I just wear whatever. I don't need something to be spring or summer for it to, you know, for me to wear it. But if you were worried that this could be too dark for you, I felt it sheared out beautifully and it just really went with my skin tone very well, making for some really, really fun, springy vibes with that ethereal, wispy sort of look that I was hoping this palette would give me, so this definitely lived up to the expectations I had of it. Then a palette that it met my expectations, but I thought there were going to be more like flippy shades in here. I thought that the Shroud Cosmetics Moonfall, like the Rogue palette, would have these like very dimensional kind of shimmers. And this just has metallics, which, you know, you could be disappointed by that if you were hoping that these had some sort of like flip, like this one or this one. But I felt that these like are just like good, solid, really nice quality, foily, metallic shimmers. Really stunning. I wore a couple of the looks in some of my recent videos, and some of you were complimenting me on how good the looks were, and I really, really enjoyed it. I think, did I do 2 or 3 looks with this? I don't remember. But I know I featured, I did one look with this like warmish, pinky cranberry shade. I thought it was going to give me pink eye, but there's something about the shimmer quality of it that makes it so, so stunning, and that it really looks very flawless on your eyes. So rather than giving you the look of an eye disease, it's actually giving you really nice iridescent sparkle, and it goes really well with this matte over here, which has the same level of warmth, which I loved. This green is another look, another eyeshadow that I based a look off, and that goes really well with some of these like greeny teals. We get this really nice midnight navy in the middle, and also like a navy shimmer, which again will go with this purple really well, and then this purple as well. So in a way you get 4 looks. We get 4 shimmers, and each shimmer has enough mattes to complement it. But here, where I felt with the Rogue, the mattes didn't really go together. I felt the mattes really nicely came together as well. This is deeper. It's definitely more of a grungy vibe. I love it. It's got green, blues, and purples as well, but in a slightly different way than the Fantasy Cosmetica, and I think they can be very nicely complementary to each other, but I think the Moonfall also nicely complements other palettes that Shroud does. So if you have the It's Freaking Bats or the Hello Bean, or like I do the Arcana as well, I think that the Moonfall is another great way to complement some of those other Shroud palettes for sure. So stunning quality, so easy to work with. This is a good one. Was it a must-have in my collection? Maybe not quite, but I felt very confident wearing those looks. The surprise of this review is the Sweet Indulgence from Sydney Grace. This was a gift to me. Both of the palettes that are coming up I didn't pay for with my own money. I sometimes do makeup exchanges with one of you guys, and this was a double, I think, and it's not my color story. This does not look like I'm going to love it. It's far too warm toned for my preference. But, oh boy. I'm so happy I didn't pull this apart and put it in my singles collection straight away, because this, ultimate spring-summer vibes. Ultimate spring-summer vibes. It's got everything I want for sort of like that rose garden kind of look that I like to do sometimes in the spring-summer season. And that's mainly due to like these two shades, and they combine really well, which I had not expected. In fact, I did 3 looks with this. I wasn't expecting to do 3 looks with this when I first got it. I did a look with, I think I did one with like the purple being center stage. I did a look with like this like more warmish tone. And then I did a look that was very neutral, but then I used the teal as a bit of liner all around the eye. It's my favorite look I did. It's so basic, but it's my favorite look I did with it. And the reason why this palette works for me is because these 4 shades are the perfect crease shades, like mid-tone crease shades for me. We have that like mustard yellow brown that goes really well with the peach, but it goes really well with the teal. And then you just have that cooler tone brown to deepen things up and to make this work. But the entire top row is like peachy, rose, and plum. So the plum goes really well with the pink, with the purple here, as does this one. And this warmer tone goes really well with those 2. So you just have a lot that you can mix and match here. And I had not expected that to happen with this going into it. This is not the kind of palette that I would have bought with my own money, but I'm super happy that I got to try it. Stunning quality. It's very much on par with what I know a Sydney Grace eyeshadow can do. I have a bunch of their singles. It's one of my favorite brand for singles to begin with. Yeah, I do have their Temptalia collab, so I had tried their palettes in the past, so I know they can do good eyeshadow, and this was yet again not a single letdown in this entire palette. It's stunning, and I was very happy with the looks that came out of it. It was sort of like neutral with a twist, and that's the kind of eyeshadow that I prefer to wear. And then finally, the eyeshadow palette I'm wearing on my face today. The Melt Cosmetics Gemini 2. Another palette that was gifted to me because someone had a double. I don't know, how do you end up with a double of this? I don't know. And today I'm wearing the greens, these 3, with this shade on my eyes. If it looks a little worn in, that's because this has been on my face since 8 a.m. and it's now 6 o'clock at night. So this has been on there for quite some time, but it's not creased. It still looks nice and intense. And I just really loved this palette a lot more than I had anticipated. Yes, I want more shimmers. Like, this just doesn't have enough shimmers. That's the only critique I have of this, because I feel that either one of these should have been a shimmer. For that inner corner highlight moment to lighten up some of these deeper tones. But are they pretty? Oh boy. Like, I keep saying all the time how I'm not a warm tone girly, but then I try something like this and I'm nearly converted, because this sort of like level of pinky peach going into this reddish tone, it was so yummy and spicy and very, very, very stunning. And then I think that the shades combine with the greens really well as well. And I just really like this look. I went in, like I said, with this shade, and then I popped that shimmer all over the lid, put this a bit of this matte just really close to the lash line, and this is on the lower lash line, and I use my highlighter as an inner corner highlight, because at this point I was like, not really. And then I just did a very warm toned look with the remaining shades of the palette. So yeah, I really, really enjoy this. Really, the kind of quality I know Melt can do. I mean, they do some really good mattes, and they've definitely fallen a bit by the wayside, I feel, because their last releases have not really intrigued me at all. This is the one that I think came out last year that I was sort of interested in, but because it was so warm toned and it didn't have that many shimmers, I was like, Melt is a bit too expensive to be making mistakes with, so I hadn't bought this myself. So I'm very happy to now own this. It's stellar quality. I really enjoy the looks that came out with it. Like, this is stunning. Like, if you want your grungy vibes, Melt is the brand to go for, I think. And this is a really nice addition to other Melt palettes. I've said it in the past, but if you put your Melt palettes together, they can form like a little color story train where some of the colors go really well with another palette. So I think that if you pull these like murky greens into the Mary Jane, magic! And I think that these like peachy tones can be really nice with some of my other Melt palettes as well. Like, these peachy toned mattes with some of those like greeny shades from the Smoke Sessions. It will be stunning. It will be stunning. And of course, as I'm about to round out the video, my battery cuts out. Oh well. But as I was saying, I will be testing out this guy in the new month, and I'm now going to be trying out my K-Beauty palettes for you. And I've decided to split it out over 2 months because this month, trying nearly 10 palettes was just a bit too much. And I do want to have space to go back to older things and to play with my single shadows because that didn't happen this month for sure. So I definitely want to make sure there's room for me to play with new stuff, but also go back to some of the older things. So I hope you'd like to stay tuned for more videos that I've got lined up for you in the upcoming months. So yeah, K-Beauty trial is next. So I hope you'd like to stay tuned for all of that. I will be back with a new video very, very soon. So I hope you'd like to stay tuned for that. Thank you so very much for joining me. Thumbs up this video, subscribe, and then I hope to see you in my next one. Bye-bye!